the media, all they talk about is Caitlyn. Caitlyn could throw somebody a bounce pass. Oh my God, she threw it. It's all about Caitlyn.
Remember all the girls that were just all talking shit about her from the beginning? This was a tune change because that's how they roll. That WNBA is woke as shit. The NBA is woke as shit. And they had to tell her, you better change your thing or we're not going to get behind you 100%. And she did. She bowed down, and that's exactly what happened.
You're too cute by half, and you've managed to piss off your fan.
Caitlin Clark was recently named Time's Athlete of the Year, a major milestone for such a young superstar. But the celebration quickly turned controversial after comments she made in the interview drew mixed reactions. Clark said, "I want to say I've earned everything, but as a white person, there's a privilege." She added that many of the WNBA's greatest players have been black women and that the league was built on their talent and impact. Her words sparked heated debate online. Some praised her for speaking honestly about race and privilege in sports, while others accused her of bowing to social pressure instead of standing by her own accomplishments. The divide has raised a bigger question. How will this moment shape Caitlin Clark's image and her relationship with fans moving forward? Coming up next, we look at reactions from across the media world, starting with Candace Owens, who surprisingly stepped in to defend Clark while addressing the wider cultural conversation.
22 years old. I don't know a single commentator out there, Megyn Kelly included, who did not at some point throughout their political career have the wrong perspectives. But for whatever reason, we decided Caitlyn's not allowed that time to grow. She's not allowed time to change. She's got to be a perfect MAGA candidate and I guess stand up to the entire mob. This girl's literally being bullied, physically bullied, I will say, by the way, on the court. And we know the basis of that is quite racist. I think she just wants to survive. I think genuinely.
It's easy to forget how young Caitlin Clark really is, given everything she's already achieved. Her rapid rise to stardom has put her under a microscope, with every word and move becoming headline material. As she navigates fame and growing cultural expectations, it's worth remembering that she's still learning and evolving. Next, we turn to Dave Portnoy, founder of Barstool Sports and a loud, unapologetic voice in the sports world. Unlike many commentators weighing in, Portnoy approached the controversy from a fan's perspective. In a candid rant posted to Instagram and X, formerly Twitter, he shared his raw take on Clark's comments and the public's reaction, bringing his trademark mix of passion and blunt honesty to the discussion.
Caitlin Clark's popularity has absolutely nothing to do with the color of her skin. Anybody who has actually watched women's basketball or watch Caitlin knows she plays totally different than any woman before.
Portnoy pushes back against the idea that Caitlin Clark's rise is mostly due to white privilege. He argues that her success comes from her unmatched basketball ability, the real reason she's become the face of women's basketball, possibly even a historic figure in the sport. Portnoy also calls out the many voices weighing in on the issue who, in his view, don't truly understand the game. He says people across the political spectrum are using Clark's fame to push their own agendas, twisting her words and image to fit their narratives instead of seeing her for who she really is.
The people who are like co-opting this, who aren't real basketball fans, who aren't real Caitlin Clark fans, are like, oh, she got the woke mob got to her. She's now saying her success is because of the skin and she has privilege. First of all, she didn't say she had that. She said she earned everything she got. But what do you want Caitlin Clark to do?
Portnoy adds that understanding the full context of Caitlin Clark's comments is crucial. He believes her words show an attempt to handle the challenges of her WNBA career wisely, not to make a political statement. According to him, Clark's real focus is on staying out of divisive debates, keeping her head in the game, and avoiding being dragged into controversy.
Plays in a league that is predominantly African American, and she wants to maybe show up at work and not have people hate her. She wants the league to be successful. The more successful, more stars, the better it is for her and everybody in the league. This backlash of Caitlyn turned on the league and Caitlyn is woke and Caitlyn is this. You fuckers are crazy. And that's what I hate. This, for Caitlyn, has never been about politics, never been about...
While the controversy has brought Caitlin Clark more attention, it's clear she prefers to stay grounded and let her performance speak for itself. She's never tried to be a political figure. Basketball is her passion and purpose, the reason she was named Time's Athlete of the Year. Though the debate has made her even more famous, it might be time to simply celebrate her for what she does best, playing at an elite level. Sports veteran Dan Patrick echoed this idea, reminding fans to appreciate greatness when it's right in front of them. With decades of experience, he understands how rare players like Clark are, true generational talents who deserve recognition, not criticism.
Acknowledge Caitlin Clark changed the WNBA. That's it. It's okay. You want to throw in Angel Reese, you want to throw the memory of Cheryl Miller or Cynthia Cooper. Like, it's a win. We got to... This is a unique moment. Caitlin Clark did for the WNBA what Wayne Gretzky did for the NHL when he went.
Not everything a public figure says or does needs to become political. Sometimes, we should just admire what made them special in the first place. Recognizing Caitlin Clark's incredible skill doesn't take away from anyone else's achievements. Dan Patrick summed it up best. Greatness should be acknowledged and appreciated for what it truly is.
Hey, take a victory lap. You don't have to go, oh my God, these people are mad, or this person's mad, or this group is mad. Caitlin Clark changed the WNBA. It's okay. It's okay to say that. You're not diminishing what the founding, fathers of the WNBA did. You're not. She's the time person.
Stephen A. Smith, who's often known for sparking heated debates, took a surprisingly thoughtful approach when reacting to Caitlin Clark's interview. Instead of stirring controversy, he started by praising her phenomenal play on the court and set a tone of respect before addressing her comments.
Big time play to the equation, big time attention, and then she steps out. Absolutely no obligation to do so. And she points out the disparity in treatment between her as a white player and black players who preceded her and achieved so much, but lacked the level of recognition she received. Her heart has been in the right place. She deserves major kudos for her heart being in the right place.
Smith went on to highlight Clark's authenticity, intelligence, and strong character, both as an athlete and a person. He also pointed out how one WNBA legend has been especially critical of her, noting that too often, political narratives are unfairly attached to Clark's words without proper context or understanding.
She didn't have to do those things, but she's done those things, which is further evidence that her heart has always been in the right place, and people who were looking for an excuse to denigrate her in any way, their issue wasn't with her, it was with a bigger issue, and they may have been justified in terms of their thinking along those lines, but to aim their ire in her direction directly was foolhardy and not advisable, and it was a huge mistake on the part of people like Cheryl Swoop.
Caitlin Clark has faced her share of harsh critics, but recently there's been a surprising change of tone from some of them. One notable example is commentator L. Duncan, who was once among Clark's toughest critics during the debate over physical play in the WNBA. In a turn few expected, Duncan has now publicly praised Clark, proof of just how much her incredible performances have shifted opinions and earned respect across the league.
So well deserved by Caitlin Clark. The thing that Time Magazine does really well too is, their people of the year aren't necessarily who's the most popular, although in this case, this is true. It's also people who have been a part of conversations, the cultural relevancy that comes along with it. It's why sometimes the Time Person of the Year is not a particularly likable person necessarily. And so no matter how you feel about the contributions of Caitlin Clark or the rest of the league, some of the narratives and the discourse that were surrounding it, that is also playing into why she was Times Athlete of the Year. These conversations in the W had been bubbling for a very long time. It's nothing new. I mean, these women changed the course of an entire election, and certainly not very many people were.
Duncan seems to recognize how powerful the narrative around Caitlin Clark has become, a narrative she once helped fuel. Just a few months ago, Duncan's comments about Clark were seen as harsh and dismissive, adding to the controversy. Her recent praise shows how dramatically Clark's consistency and excellence have changed even the most skeptical voices.
Of it being people who are not in this circle or space at all, who suddenly have all these opinions about how these women need to treat Caitlin Clark. What do you want from them? They want to beat her because she's not on their team. Isn't that how it's supposed to be? Yeah. Y'all stop it. We already know she's transformational. They've all said it. How many times do they gotta say it?
Veteran analyst and former NBA player Jim Jackson also joined the conversation, responding to remarks made by Washington Mystics owner Sheila Johnson. With years of experience as both a player and commentator, Jackson made it clear that he strongly disagrees with Johnson's take. Instead, He defended Caitlin Clark, calling her the most deserving figure of recognition and credit in the WNBA today.
I don't agree with the Mystics owner saying that the whole WNBA should have been named up, because that's not true. The whole WNBA benefited this year from the viewership increase because of the excitement between Angel Reese and also Caitlin Clark. But from a pure marketing perspective, Caitlin Clark was it.
Sheila Johnson's comments have become one of the most talked about parts of this debate, drawing intense reactions online. Many found her statement confusing and out of touch, questioning what message she was really trying to send.
I feel really bad because I've seen so many players of color that are equally as talented, and they never got the recognition that they should have. And I think right now it is time for that to happen. So last night we read Time magazine where Caitlin Clark was named Athlete of the Year. Why couldn't they have put the whole WNBA on that cover and said the WNBA is the league of the year because of all the talent that we have? Because when you just keep singling out one player, it creates hard feelings. And so now you're starting to hear stories of racism within the WNBA, and I don't want to hear that. We have got to operate and become stronger as a league and respect everybody that's playing.
Critics slammed Johnson's remarks as tone-deaf and inconsistent. Her suggestion that Time should have featured the entire WNBA on its cover under the title League of the Year was widely mocked. Even more controversial was her claim that she didn't want to talk about race, immediately followed by racially focused comments. That contradiction, highlighted by Sarah Haynes, added fuel to the backlash. It's another example of how Caitlin Clark is often dragged into race-based debates she's never tried to start, simply because of how polarizing her fame has become.
She's always saddled with these issues that she doesn't have herself. This is not, they pitted Angel Reese against her, and it was always coming down to race and all these things. Caitlin Clark said in that interview, I heard everything I got. Her stats speak for themselves. She broke records that were 50 years old.
Yeah.
But recognizing that this was built on the shoulders of people, a game she admired, players and teammates that she loved. And the most important thing she said, actually, is that brands and companies have to invest in those players too, and she needs to keep making.
Despite all this, Caitlin Clark continues to elevate women's basketball. Through her outstanding play, professionalism, and loyal fan base, she's brought new energy and attention to the sport. Megyn Kelly even acknowledged how Clark stays focused on her craft despite non-stop media noise, a testament to her discipline and love for the game.
Of the WNBA. And she's become a phenom in part because the players of the WNBA can't fucking stand her. Why? Because she's white. It's abject, absolute racism. It's total racism. And one of the things that's been admirable about Caitlin is she just continues to play her game and put points on the board. And she does very well, and she wins games, and she puts butts in the seats, and she sells tickets, and she gets people tuning in on television. And all really we want to hear from anybody about this is thank you. Thank you to Caitlin Clark for making our league relevant and so on. But instead, she's been bullied repeatedly by the...
However, Kelly later became one of Clark's toughest critics, saying the interview reflected an unnecessary sense of guilt about being white. She argued that some of Clark's remarks could be seen as dismissive toward black players who paved the way in the WNBA.
Acknowledge her white privilege. Basically, she's sorry she's white. She feels really bad about it, though, so you should give her a pass. And then she makes a point of saying, the ones we really need to be celebrating are the black women on whose backs this league was built, which I have to tell you is so condescending. It's true that most of these black women have been bullying her and want her to understand it's their league. Hello, you don't own the league.
Kelly went further, claiming Clark was pressured by the woke media to apologize for her identity. In her view, Clark's comments were a response to unfair public expectations and social pressure rather than a reflection of her true beliefs.
You want her on the knee. You'll bend the knee and you'll apologize for being white, and you will suck up to the black women who built this league before you, or you will be beaten, you will be assaulted, and you will be bullied with no friends. So she does it. She finally did it. She bent the knee, self-flagellated.
Former NBA star Gilbert Arenas also weighed in, applauding Caitlin Clark for the massive boost she's brought to the WNBA. He admitted her rise might create tension among other players, but said her success should be seen as a win for the league and women's basketball as a whole.
But if she really just wants the spotlight to be on the deserving black players who surround her and on whose backs this league was built, then you shouldn't have taken the honor. Then you should have said, make the WNBA the team of the year, the league of the year. What I don't need right now is an additional singled out honor. That's what she should have done. You can't have it both.
Former NBA star Gilbert Arenas also weighed in, applauding Caitlin Clark for the massive boost she's brought to the WNBA. He admitted her rise might create tension among other players, but said her success should be seen as a win for the league and women's basketball as a whole.
For the W, because it just keeps putting a light on the sport for everybody else to eat. And, sometimes, just as athletes, we are competitive by nature. And, we don't like when someone's getting something that we don't think they deserve, right? When we've been in the game. But we have to understand, the more loaves that someone gets, the more crumbs everybody else gets, if you think of it like that. Like if there's only one loaf, right?
Can I get a slice?
And we get a slice.
Some slice, right?
Yeah. We get a slice, we get one slice. Right?
Whole slice.
If this person now has 4 loaves, we get 4 slices. Right? And I think the more walls get knocked down, there's more opportunity for everyone to eat.
In the same discussion, WNBA legend Cheryl Swoops shared her take, once again showing hesitation to fully credit Clark. Her response was consistent with her past comments, which have often downplayed Clark's accomplishments.
I think I'm surprised. I'm curious to know who the other candidates were, but the fact that that's the very first WNBA player to ever win Time Magazine Athlete of the Year is pretty special. And my question is, like the criteria, is it based off of her performance on the court, which, yeah, she had a great year, or is it more about the impact that she had on the game?
Caitlin Clark's recognition as Time's Athlete of the Year has sparked passionate discussion across the sports and media world, from veteran analysts to political commentators. Everyone seems to have a different view on her words, her impact, and what she represents. But regardless of opinion, one thing is undeniable. Caitlin Clark's influence on basketball and culture is historic. She's not just part of the conversation. She is the conversation.